Hey guys, welcome back to MMA Today. My name is Cash Money and this is my co-host Mahad, and today we'll be breaking down Dana White slapping his wife. In a recent altercation down on New Year's Eve, Dana White and his wife got into a physical altercation. It appears that they were out drinking with some friends and that things took a turn for the worse when Dana White's wife actually ends up slapping him across the face. Dana retaliates by slapping her back, and then it looks like he might have slapped her maybe again and then shoved her before other people got involved and broke it up. Now, this is a pretty big story, I think, just because this is the president of the UFC, and he has so much power, and it's kind of embarrassing that he would actually be on video hitting his wife like this. Now, Dana did speak to TMZ, and there was a video about that, and he apologized for it. To me, I just think it's just a really bad look because now you have other fighters in the organization that's already been accused of, having violence towards women. John Jones, for example, and Dana White gave him a lot of passes. Then he also signed Greg Hardy, who's known to be, a domestic abuser and really had a bad domestic violence case with his wife. So I just think that this is just a really bad look on top of that. So, I mean, if I'm Endeavor, your shares are starting to fall as well. I would actually think about other people that are possibly could be run the UFC as the president because on top of this, Dana White has already been kind of filtering out throughout the UFC. He's been at less press conferences than before. He's at less fights than before. And you're starting to hear that Hunter Campbell, Sean Shelby, and Mick Maynard are actually the ones that are behind the scenes making decisions and making the fights. So Dana White right now, I think, is starting to lose a lot of value. I can't say this for sure would get rid of him, but it's just not a good look.
So basically, what was going on with Dana White was his wife slapped him first, and he slapped her back. Well, you could play devil's advocate and say, hey, Dana White's not in the wrong because his wife hit him first, and he just retaliated, right? But at the end of the day, he still hit a woman, and no person in the MMA community is ever going to support that. Dana White, I believe he removed a person from the UFC that got an altercation with his girlfriend. I think his name was Luis Pena.
Yeah, Luis Pena. He had a situation. It was like an ongoing thing where they did try to give him a couple of times to, try to resolve it, but I think it was just like a final straw that they just couldn't do it. So the UFC has kind of been lenient on guys who get caught up in like domestic violence situations. They kind of try to let the law work it out and that they don't like to get involved with this. But I just think that you guys are going to have to start taking a stance because now even the president of the UFC is getting accused of this. So what does that stand for a fighter? Like, let's say another fighter in the future gets in another situation where he might hit his wife. Is that person going to be able to get a pass because now Dana White himself is getting a pass? So it's just weird. I just don't know if Endeavor is going to, or whoever owns like the UFC now, I'm not sure. They don't have any names, but it's just Endeavor as a company. But I don't know if they're going to take it as as serious as it's looking, because it looks like a lot of people online are kind of upset about it.
I just really want to see if any fighter will actually come out and against Dana White on this issue. Actually call him like some names or something that they will say.
It's funny because these guys go so hard at John Jones and they give John Jones so much crap about the incident with his wife, as they should, but now Dana White, their boss, is the one that's in this situation. So it's like, what do you guys say? Like, you guys can't even acknowledge it. So it's either, I think most fighters are either going to defend Dana White, or the ones that disagree with her are just going to shut up because they're just not going to say anything about it. They don't want to lose jeopardy of losing their job over this. And, it's just a terrible situation.
I wonder what the MMA media is going to say as well.
Oh, Ariel Helwani's already rubbing his hands about this. This is coming off of the heels of that Paddy the Baddy interview with Dana White, where Ariel was getting just trashed by Dana White. I think Dana White said he's like one of the biggest snakes or pieces of garbage ever. So you already know Ariel's gonna go talk about this and go hard at Dana for that.
Yeah, I think he called Ariel one of the biggest pieces of shit ever.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is, hey, Dana, if you call Ariel that and you're hitting your wife there, right? And you can't even excuse his behavior because look how big he is compared to his wife. Yeah. If she smacks him, it's not going to do too much damage, right? Compared to when he smacks her.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, I know a lot of people are defending him. I know I've seen Jamal Hill and like other fighters and other guys in MMA media like trying to defend Dana White, saying like, oh, she hit him first. I mean, like, at the end of the day, men and women are not the same. No matter how we try to define things and stuff like that, men and women are not the same. The power difference is not the same. Not saying that she's in the right. Obviously, she is wrong. But at the end of the day, if a man is hitting a woman, it's going to to have far worse repercussions and damage actually to the person than if a woman hit a man. Not saying that she's in the right, but like Dana, there's a lot of people trying to excuse his behavior for actually slapping his wife because they're trying to say, oh, she hit him first, as if that's really going to be seen as like, oh, that's okay that he did that because she hit him first. It's not two grown men going at it. So it's a man and a woman, and at the end of the day, he's going to have a power advantage. You've seen him. He's working out. Dana White's looking shredded. If he slaps her, pretty sure it's going to do some damage.
Yeah, and then he also said this is like the first time they ever laid hands on each other.
I don't believe that. I really don't believe that. He's saying 26 years they've been together. For almost 30 years they've been together, and you're telling me this is the first time Dana White and his wife got really drunk at night and got into a fight? Like, I mean, it could have been, but we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. It's like I honestly believe that this probably has happened before. Maybe not. It's never gotten leaked out, but I definitely think this probably happened before. And Dana White, you're 50 years old. What are you doing out at a nightclub drinking like you're 21 years old on New Year's Eve? Like, I don't want to police what people do. He's a grown man, but I just find it just strange. Like, you're 50 years old, man. Like, you're not like a kid. So these type of situations, I could see it happening to someone in their 20s maybe, but like for you at your age and your level, like for this to happen is like just terrible.
Do you think that the UFC suspends him, or do you think they remove him?
I just know that the UFC is not that type of company, because if it's like the NBA, MLB, NFL, all these other major sports organizations, they would have definitely removed the commissioner, the president. But UFC just has a different process on how they handle like criminal violence and stuff like that. Like they're kind of lenient on crimes as long as like the law doesn't get too much involved. As long as you're not getting like locked up for murder or something like that, the UFC kind of protects you. So I could see it working out two ways, that the UFC gets involved. Maybe they have a talk with Dana, or they might just leave it alone and just let it go, you know?
Yeah, say this was the NBA and the NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, hit his wife.
Oh, that
what would LeBron do? What would Curry do?
Oh, a lot of players would speak out about it, because these players are not in fear of their job's jeopardy when it comes to Adam Silver. So if Adam Silver ever does anything in the wrong, the players can reasonably call him out without having to worry about their job. UFC fighters, I know a lot of them are probably disagreeing with what Dana White did, because when John Jones did it, a lot of fighters came out, called him a piece of shit, called him the biggest piece of garbage, painting him as a devil. But Dana White's over here is going to start getting a pass because he cuts their checks. You already seen it. A lot of media and fighters are already starting to protect him.
Derek Brunson said he wanted to make the joke about he wore the shirt at one of the UFC events where he says that he beats up domestic abusers, right?
Yeah.
But he said, if I made a joke about this, he said, I fear for my job, basically.
Yeah, and that's 100% true. You can't go out and speak against someone like Dana White. He has a lot of power and control in the organization. He cuts your checks. He's like, you always want to be on this guy's good side if you're a fighter. And the UFC fighters don't get paid enough to really be able to speak out like the way they should. And I think that I'm just thinking about ESPN, Disney. How bad would this look on them as well? Because they're a family-friendly company. They don't like to deal with this type of situation. They're very woke, so they're against racism, anything violence against women, anything like that. Disney will probably does not like it, and Dana White might get in trouble with them.
I do give him props for doing damage control so quickly.
Yeah, he went out and did that interview. I was shocked that he did a video about it. He kind of got ahead of it before anybody else was able to come out and make all these other statements about him. He was able to go out there, and then his wife spoke as well. And it looks like his wife got his back in that situation as well, because it looks like his wife also commented about the situation. She said that this is very uncharacteristic for him, that he's never done something like this before, and and that it's no excuse for what happened. But she said that they were both very drunk that night, and even eyewitnesses at the event that he was at the club, they were also saying similar things, that him and his wife, Ann White, was both heavily intoxicated during this altercation.